Hi there, it is Ed. Welcome to episode 12 of the solo adventures of Anselm the Scout using the Classic Traveler RPG system. Last time, as you recall, Anselm had gone to Pirth, the pirate planet, to see if he could find some underworld contact that could tell him a little bit more about his dad Godfrey, where he might be headed in this subsector. And Anselm had found out that if he went to a specific bar called Maison Drinks and ordered a Ryden Energy Ale, that a contact, somebody who knew how to find whereabouts of people, would get in touch with him. This person would be wearing a specific hat, is what he was told. So Anselm did head out going to the bar Maison Drinks, but as he was on his way, he was run into and bowled over by a young fellow fleeing from a rather angry, and I'm going to say drunken mob, which explains what happened last time, if you saw last episode and the personal combat that ensued. Anyway, this group was after this young fellow. They said he was a freak. He'd used some sort of psionic power, and they were going to show him what they thought of weirdos like him. Anselm tried to defuse the situation. Didn't work, and we had a little personal combat. Now, the group actually offed one of their own guys through, again, that's why I'm going to say they were probably drunk, because they went after this young guy, and they were very inept. And because Anselm was wearing his mesh armor, the daggers that they had could not penetrate that, so they decided to leave, swearing revenge that they would make sure that, freaks like him weren't allowed and welcome in this area of Pirth. So, they did leave, and so as we start, we have Anselm on this grimy, dirty street of Pirth with an unconscious young fellow next to him. And that is where we rejoin Anselm. And thinking about it, I didn't really end the scene. So I'm going to end the scene, and then we will do the whole update the lists and chaos factor and things like that. So we pick up right with Anselm standing in this dirty, small street. We see the thugs fleeing in the distance, the clatter of their boots upon the pavement as they quickly run away. There is flashing neon, there's all kinds of smoke, there's all kinds of grime and trash and muck and mire in this street, and the young fellow is sprawled out there. Anselm will rush to him and see if he can offer any kind of assistance. Anselm doesn't have any medical training, but he does have the ever-popular, extremely handy jack-of-all-trades skill, which he will use in place of the medical skill. So Anselm has a jack-of-all-trades of 1, which will give him a medicine of 0, and he's just going to kind of see, can he figure out how hurt is what I'm trying to say very unsuccessfully. How hurt is this young fellow? So let's find out. Making a medicine roll with medicine 0, and I'm going to say this is going to be rather routine, so I'll say an 8 or more. He can sort of find out how hurt he is. And a 10, yeah, he does. He checks it out. The young fellow has a stab wound, but Anselm is able to stop the bleeding really quickly. He has some sort of, he gets a piece of the young fellow's clothing, he tears it off, he makes a quick bandage, he applies direct pressure. Luckily, it was not a severe wound. The young fellow is unconscious, but he does respond to the treatment that Anselm was giving him. This a quick first aid just on the street. I'm going to say that Anselm does wrap this young fellow up. He sort of gets him aroused and awake after a few minutes. The young fellow sort of, slowly wakes up groggily. When his vision sort of focuses, he sees Anselm hovering over him, and he does panic. He sort of backs up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. No, don't, please. And Anselm's like, it's okay, it's all right. They're gone. They ran away. They're fine. You're okay. You're all right. And the young fellow calms down. His breathing slows down. He turns to calm, and he looks around, and he says, "Thank you, mister. Thank you. I thought, something bad was going to happen." And Anselm says, "Well, something bad did kind of happen. You got hurt, but I think you're going to be okay. Look, let's sort of get you off the street right now and see if we can't, get you to something a little more safe. Do you know somebody around here? Can I help anybody?" "No, I don't know. I just got here. I thought, I don't know what to do." And so Anselm could tell that this young fella is clueless. He doesn't know what's happening. He's scared. He is definitely out of his element here on Pirth. So Anselm, even though he's going to a specific place, he feels that that'll keep for a little while, and he does take this young fellow and helps him into I'm going to say there's a small little coffee shop nearby, because pirates love coffee. I think that's what we found out from all the films, right? Anyway, he takes him to a little coffee shop. It is kind of dirty and dingy, but there are a couple of tables, and he sets the young fellow down. He orders him a little coffee, and and I'm going to say that's the end of this scene. So now, let us update our lists and all those things. I'm going to say the chaos factor is going to go up to 6. with pirates and thugs attacking this young fella. So our chaos factor goes from 5 to 6. Oh, and something else I wanted to make mention of. So last time, you could probably tell that I was caught a little flat-footed with the whole personal combat, so I totally blanked and forgot that in the back of the Traveler book, let me find that page, because I still remember somebody said long ago that they appreciated the page numbers. On page 157, they do have some pre-generated characters for actual, character NPC, not NPC, I should say, player characters, but also an NPC list of thugs, brigands, and assailants, which would have been perfect to use for these people showing up to hurt this young fella, and not just assuming they all had 7. So anyway, need to remember that's in there. So yeah, page 157, if we have more thugs, brigands, assailants, or just about anybody else show up, that is back there. Anyway, I'm going to take a few minutes, and we're going to flesh out this young fella some more, because he may be important. Oh, let me update my lists. That's what I was doing. So for characters, I am going to put this young fellow. We don't know his name yet, but he will be on there by name. I'm also going to put those thugs. I think they may show up again, potentially, while Anselm is still on Pirth. I think they have... they may not take this lying down. They may come back with a little more firepower next time. Although, as we said last time, they can't actually bring guns, because open gun battles are illegal, looked down on, and punished very severely and quickly on Pirth by the pirate lords who rule the planet. Anyway, let's find out some more information about this young fella before we go too far. I did say last time he had all 7s in his abilities, but I'm going to change that. I'm actually going to take a few minutes, and since he is 17, I said he has no previous experience. He has not been part of a service like normal Traveler characters would have. So I'm just going to roll up his initial characteristics using the 2d6 method. So here we go. Let me set that there. There we go. What is he going to have? So for a strength, he has a 6. All right. And dex is a 10. So quite dexterous young fellow. What is his endurance? An endurance of 8. Okay. And his intelligence is a 9. His education, an 11. All right, so quite a well-educated young fellow. And what is his social standing? Now, this will be interesting. And a 6. All right, so just a little below middle class. All right, so we have his characteristics. I'm going to find a name for him using the D66 compendium that I recently got. So we're going to roll on the name table. As I said, he is male, so let's roll a name for this young fellow. We're going to read the red dice first. So let's see, what is his name? 32. His name is Hormoz. Hormoz. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? Hormoz. Doesn't for me. Some people it probably does. Anyway, Hormoz. And I believe there's actually a family name. Yeah, a family name. There's 2 different tables I have here, so let's see. 1 to 3 is table 1. 4 to 6 is table 2. That's going to be table 1. Again, red is going to be high. And his name is 25. Hormoz Alien. Not alien, but alien. A-L-E-Y-N. Hormoz Alien. I did say last time that he is psionic. He has the awareness ability. And he has psychic strength of 6. So I'm going to make notes of all of that, writing it down on a little index card, so I have that. Now I am going to use Une, as you might have imagined, to get a little more information about this individual. Why is he on Pirth? I have some ideas, but we're going to see what we can find out about this young fellow. We will roll on the NPC modifier and noun, and then we will roll on his motivation, the verb and the noun. And those are D100 rolls. So let's see what we get here. First of all, he is 79. He is a kind, which makes sense if he was helping some elderly person that was pinned underneath the vehicle, and he used his psionic strength to lift said vehicle from an elderly person. Stands to reason he would be kind. He is a kind 23. He is a kind mercenary. very kind mercenary. All right, so he's a kind mercenary, okay? And I'm going to say that because he is very young, that is what he wants to be. He wants to be a mercenary. He wants to maybe use his abilities or be paid to use his abilities at some point in the future. Let's see, what is his motivation? Again, D100 rolls for that. That's going to be a 0-4. To spoil. And his noun is 44, which would be spoil freedom. Spoil freedom. Spoiling of freedom. Okay. So he is a kind mercenary. Okay. Spoil freedom. Spoil freedom. I'm kind of getting the idea, because I did say he helped the person that was pinned underneath the vehicle. He is a kind mercenary. He wants to spoil freedom. The first thing that leaps to mind is that he knows he has these abilities, and something that popped into my brain and my imagination I'm going to add as well. So I'm going to say that this young fellow, I'm going to say Hormaz wants to, actually he's looking for a psionic institute. That's what he's after. He's looking for a place where he can be trained so he can use his psionic abilities and improve his psionic abilities to go and fight, spoil freedom. So, not that he wants to spoil freedom, he wants to fight against people who are trying to spoil freedom. Okay, so he wants to be a freedom fighter. He wants to help oppressed people. He is a kind mercenary, so he is going to use his psionic abilities to help people who are oppressed. That's exactly what his motivation is. That's how I get there. Yeah, and he has the awareness ability. He already knows that, but he also realizes that the Psionic Institute will help him see if he has any additional. And we already know he has a Psionic Strength of 6. Somehow he has found that out. Maybe trial and error. Maybe he came from a very rural planet, and yeah, all of a sudden one day he was arm wrestling. Actually, let's take a step back. This is what he finds out, and this is what Anselm finds out as he's talking to Hormaz. Yeah, he says, "So, Hormaz, forgive me, but you look like you're a little out of place here. Why are you here on Pirth? I mean, this is a very dangerous place, you know." And Hormaz says, "Yeah, I know, and well, I was trying to find." He looks around very nervously because he's afraid to mention it out loud. He says, "I have like abilities." And Anselm says, "Well, yeah, the thugs, the people that were chasing you, said you had manifested some sort of psionic ability, and I know that's sort of frowned upon. I just want to let you know that I'm okay with it, but yeah, that maybe doesn't go over well in some places." And Hormaz says, "Yeah, I know. That's why I left my whole planet, because people found out when it just sort of happened, and I wasn't welcome there anymore. But I was hoping I could find a place where they train you, where they teach you how to use that kind of stuff." And Anselm says, "So you're trying to find like a Psionic Institute to train you how to use your abilities, huh? And you thought you could come to Pirth and somebody here might know about it." And Hormaz says, "Yeah, that was my plan or anything, but I mean, I really haven't had a chance to ask anybody, and I don't know who to ask." Anselm does consider for a bit, and he says, "Tell you what, why don't you stay with me for a little while? I don't know that those thugs will come back for you, but, safety in numbers, so stay with me. I do have to go meet somebody at a place called Maison Drinks. Come with me, and, yeah, I'll help you out while I'm here, while I can." And Hormaz is extremely thankful for this. He goes, "Well, thank you so much. I promise I won't be much trouble. I don't have to be in charge. I'm just happy to just, if I could just stay with you, and if you could help me sort of find somebody who could know something about the psionic." And Anselm's like, "Yeah, we will see if we can do that as well. Okay, Jeff, let's go. I need to go meet somebody at this Maison Drinks place." And they do leave the coffee shop, and they do head out to the Maison Drinks place. All right, excellent. So now Anselm has another NPC that is following around with him. Anselm and Hormaz do travel through the grimy streets of this part of Pirth, and they do find Maison Drinks. It is a... I should roll descriptor tables. I do have some descriptor tables in the Mythic magazine. So how would we describe this place? So using the meaning tables descriptors from Mythic Magazine, how do we describe Maison Drinks, this place that Anselm has come to? 73, it is mysteriously, mysteriously. And 49, mysteriously important. Mysteriously important. Okay, so when they arrive, there are doors that are closed. It's not one of those open saloons where people just wander in and out. It is a little more private. They have frosted glass outside where you can see light and movement inside, but you really can't see through and see what is inside. They do have a bouncer. There is a guard at the door, somebody who let people in. And as Anselm and Hormaz come up to the guard, to the bouncer person working the door, he does stop them. Excuse me, can I help you? And Anselm didn't expect this, but he does say, yes, I was told to come. I've heard a lot about your Ride-In, right? Your Ride-In energy drink. I was told I needed to try it here. And he says that the guard kind of looks at him, looks at Hormaz, and does turn around, opens the door, where you do see light flood the street, and the sound of merriment comes through, and he says, very well, gentlemen, enjoy yourself. And Hormaz and Anselm do enter into the Maison Drinks. When they enter in, there is of course, it's a lively area, not necessarily terribly bawdy, not the type of place you would expect perhaps from a pirate planet, but this place perhaps is a little more subdued. But you do hear music, you hear laughter and festivities, but it is a little different in the fact that instead of being an open common area, everything is, what am I trying to say? There are lots of tapestries or fabric dividers that are down between some of the tables and some of the areas. So you see the central bar straight ahead. You can see a few tables here and there, but you don't get a good view of what the entire room looks like because it is kind of partitioned off, and not with walls, but with these tapestries and wall hangings and fabric hangings. So it is a bit maze-like. If you wanted to, you could dive right through them. But it does give some of the patrons perhaps a little more privacy than they would get at other establishments. So that is what happens. And Anselm does go up to the bar, bringing Hormaz with him, and he says, okay, Hormaz, I need you to stay close to me. All right? I think we're okay, but still, just to be on the safe side, just stay close to me. And Hormaz looks at him with very large, wide eyes going, okay. And they do go to the bar. Bartender comes to them, and Anselm says, I understand the Ride-In energy drink is not to be missed here at this establishment. I would like to have one of those, please. And the bartender gives almost no inkling of recognition that this is some sort of special code. He does go and he starts making up a special, whatever this Ride-In energy ale, and he has all these different concoctions and these liquids he's pouring in. He takes something that looks like a twist of lime and squeezes it in there and shakes it over ice and just did the whole process of getting this drink ready. And he does slide it across the bar to Anselm. Do you remember the Daffy Duck cartoon where they were the Western guys, and when the big bad Western guy ordered the drink, the bartender had to get out like a blast mask and gloves and like one of those tongs they use for radioactive equipment and pour it? Yeah. Just popped in my brain, thought I'd mention it. That's not what this guy does. But he does go through the whole process to make the drink, gives it to Anselm. Anselm does start drinking the drink, waiting to see what's going to happen, because he's not sure what's going to happen. I'm going to say it is. I'm just going to roll randomly a d6. He has to wait about 50 minutes, and he has been there for a while. Let's see, does anything happen? I feel like nothing is really going to happen here. It doesn't seem to be like a rowdy, raucous sort of place. But I am going to roll to see, does something happen? Is there some sort of event that happens in this Maison Drinks while Anselm and Hormaz are waiting? I'm going to say that's probably unlikely. Yeah, unlikely. Because, it's unlikely. But that does give us a 50% chance or less that, yes, something happens. Since we're at Chaos Factor 6. So what do we get here? That is going to be an 80. Yeah, so nothing happens. Just people coming in, enjoying themselves, having the drinks, finding little secluded areas to do whatever it is they are doing back there. And after about 50 minutes, right as Anselm thinks that this has been a waste of time, he's been set on a wild goose chase, he needs to go back and get some of the credits back from that bartender that he bribed, he does see an individual sidle up next to him. Now, first of all, let's see. Who is this individual? Is it male or female? 1 to 3 is female. It is a female. She comes, and she is wearing an old school aviator's helmet. You know, leather pulled down over the ears, the goggles up here. Definitely stands out. Definitely headgear that would stand out, a hat. And he does make notice of that, thinking, could this be? And as she orders her drink, she turns around and she says, "Ah, right, an energy ale. Good choice." And he says, "Well, thank you." She says, after she gets her drink, she says, in a somewhat conspiratorial tone, "So I understand you're looking for somebody. I might be able to help you with that." And Anselm's very excited. He goes, "Oh, yeah, I'm looking for..." She goes, "Just a minute." And she turns around to the bartender. She says, "We'll be at my usual table." Bartender nods, and Anselm, Hormaz, and this individual, they do go to do this secluded table, again surrounded by many of these fabric tapestry wall hangings, to find out more information. If he can find out more information on what this person knows. What is this person's name? Let's find out. Again, red is going to be high, or the first number. 63. All right. And 63 is... Okay. So she sits down at this table, and she sort of leans in. She says, "My name's Tara, and I have a certain skill at finding out things that people don't want found out. How can I help you?" And Anselm says, "Well, I am actually looking for someone that probably does not want to be found. And I told you might be able to do that." She says, "Yeah, for a price, I can probably find him. So who are you looking for?" And Anselm leans across the table and says, "I'm sure you heard about the prison break out of Vilmork not too terribly long ago." And Tara says, "Oh yeah, that's been all over the Newsnet. Yeah, big deal. Are you looking for somebody that got away?" And Anselm says, "Well, actually, yes, I am. One of the individuals who escaped from Vilmork was named Godfrey. He is a former official with the Imperial government, and he was incarcerated about 30 years ago. He has escaped. I'd kind of like to know where he is, or at least maybe where he's going." Now, let's see. Does Tara already know Godfrey? I'm going to say that's very unlikely, or maybe even more so. Let's find the mythic table. I'm going to say there's no way, actually. No way. At a 6 chaos factor, that gives us a 25% chance or less that, yes, she actually does. But yeah, I'm going to say there's no way she would actually know Godfrey. But with a 0-4, yes. Yes, she does know Godfrey. As a matter of fact, a 0-4 is an exceptional yes. So, yes, she does know him. As a matter of fact, she knows, knows him very well. All right, when he says Godfrey, she sort of sits back and her eyes go up a little bit. And she says, "You're looking for Godfrey?" And he says, "Yes." And she gets this smile on her face. She says, "You mean you're looking for the Reverend?" And Anselm is taken aback, and he says, "The Reverend?" And she gets a bigger smile on her face. She goes, "Oh yeah, he's become quite the true believer in the Endorian way of life. Yeah, he became a convert during his time in Vilmork, and would often preach to everybody else about the superiority of the Endorian way and how we should all take on the Endorian way of life." And Anselm is totally flabbergasted by that. It is a massive amount of information that he cannot quite process. He's like, he's an Endorian now? Yes, and not just a casual believer. He is quite the adherent to the Endorian philosophy. He would always talk about improving oneself and trying to better yourself, and how someday we would all be one in the great cosmic consciousness, all the Endorian hoo-ha that they go on about. And again, Anselm is trying to process all this and saying, wait a minute, because before, I'm guessing he had no, Godfrey that is, had no specific interest in the Endorian way of life. Slowly, Anselm does start put two and two together that he knows that his dad was accused of leaking classified information to the Endorians. He was put in jail, then he became an Endorian believer. Slowly, things are starting to puzzle pieces are starting to be put together in Anselm's brain. And after a moment, he stops. He says, "Wait a minute. We used to have... Were you in Vilmork?" And Tara gets not really embarrassed, but a little guarded, perhaps. And she says, "Yes, unfortunately, I did spend my time on Vilmork, but I spent my time and decided to go legit, which is why I'm here." And she gestured grandly to not just being in the Maison drinks, but the fact that she is now working as an information broker on a pirate planet. She means that with a certain amount of irony and sarcasm. Anyway, so yeah, Anselm is absolutely flabbergasted at this. He says, "So if he was out of Vilmork, where would he be headed?" And Tara says, "He would be heading to Endoria. That's all he would talk about. He would say that someday, if he ever got out, he was going to go back to, or he's going to go to Endoria and be one with the grand cosmic consciousness." Yeah, I would almost guarantee that Godfrey's heading to Endoria. And again, Anselm is having to process all this. But now he has information. He knows where his dad is going to be headed. He knows that his dad, for whatever reason, however he might be able to do it, is going to be heading to Endoria. Anselm does sit back a little bit, takes a couple of breaths. He says, "Thank you very much. That's you've been very, very helpful. I really appreciate it. We never talked about payment. How much do I owe you for something like this?" See, how much is she going to charge him? How much does Anselm have, first of all? And how much is she going to charge him? I don't know the going rate for information in this part of the sector. I'm going to say she's going to charge him... I'm going to say this is going to be pretty pricey. So she's going to charge him about... I think $6,000, right? She charges him $6,000. Here you go. Let's do some rolling and negotiate. $6,000 is the maximum amount. Can he get a discount for that? She did know Godfrey. How well? You know what? Exceptionally, yes. No, she knew Godfrey very, very well. Let's say, because I did roll exceptionally. Yes, so she knows him very, very well. In that case, he might be able to persuade her otherwise. I'm going to say this is going to be a social standing roll, and I'm going to say it's just going to be an 8 or more. His social standing is 6, so there really is no bonuses for ability scores. In Classic Traveler, Cepheus, and other versions, they do have that, but not for this. So let's just see, can he... Jack of all trades wouldn't work, yeah. Can he talk her down from 6,000? No, she's pretty firm on 6,000, so he does pay her 6,000 credits, which he is happy to hand over, and he does take his leave of Tara, leaving Maison Drinks, not even finishing his ride in Energy Ale, and leaving with Hormaz close behind. And Anselm, again, is kind of flabbergasted that his dad is heading to Endoria, that his dad is known as the Reverend, because he was such an Endorian believer. Yeah, that's a little much for Anselm to deal with. So, Anselm knows that now, or at least he wants to head to Endoria. He also knows that that's going to be very difficult because as I said, the Endorians and the rest of the Imperial space are not necessarily good pals. There is a certain amount of tension there because of the Endorian beliefs and what the Imperials feel about Sonics and things like that. As they're walking, Hormaz says, I guess that was kind of a surprise that this Godfrey person is heading to Endoria. Yeah, I guess that would be a surprise, wouldn't it? Because, I mean, most people don't like to go to Endoria. I've never really been far. Have you been to Endoria? I've never been there. I mean, of course, I've heard the stories and everything. Hormaz keeps talking. He's nervous. He doesn't know what to say, but he's just rambling to fill up the silence that they're listening to. And during the long soliloquy that Hormaz is giving, he says, so like if you're going to Endoria, could I go too? And that snaps Anselm out of his reverie and turns back and he says, "What?" Hormaz says, well, yeah, I mean, it seems like you want to find this Godfrey guy, and if he's going to Endoria, then you probably need to go to Endoria and find him. And I know that Endorians, like, they have, psionic institutes. I mean, they have a lot of them. They're all about the psionics. It's one of their big beliefs, and so, if I went there, maybe they could train me, and I wouldn't have to, like slink around and be afraid that I told the wrong person, and then they're going to do something like the other folks did. And Anselm listens to what Hormaz says, and he says, sure, yeah, that's fine. You can come with me, yeah. Just be aware, it's going to be potentially dangerous. Crossing over into Endorian territory. I should let you know I'm flying a scout ship, an Imperial scout ship, so that could bring us some unwanted attention. And Hormaz says, that's okay, just as long as I can get, somewhere where they can train me, that's really all I want. And Anselm says, well, okay then, sure, fine, yeah, come on. Hormaz is extremely happy at this, and he says, yeah, I'll go get my stuff, I just have a few things. And he rushes off. Anselm tells him exactly where the ISS Raven is docked and how to get there, and hopefully Hormaz will be able to get there. Oh, you know what? Is Anselm going to go with him? That's a good question, because I know Anselm might be a little protective of this young fella, because he obviously not really able to protect himself. And we know those thugs are still wandering around, and they may be looking for Hormaz. So let's see. I'm going to just say Anselm does go with him. Now, here's the question. Do they run into these thugs or somebody like them again? I'm going to say that it is... I'm just going to say 50-50 chance. Do they run into them? That's a 65% chance or less that yes, they do. So do they run into the thugs or somebody like them? 52, yes. Yes, they do. So, as Anselm and Hormaz go to the place where Hormaz was staying, probably like a hostel, something like that. There are things like that, I'm sure, in this area. And I'm guessing this is the area outside of the starport as well. They do find the hostel, and as they're coming up to it, do they notice that there are thugs? I'm going to say the thugs have found out exactly where Hormaz is staying, or they're think likely they know where Hormaz might be staying because he's a young fella. He probably will be staying at one of the hostels around there. So they have been staking those out, and they are there. And Hormaz and Anselm, they do arrive at this hostel. They go in and get all of Hormaz's stuff, and as Hormaz is gathering up his few meager belongings that he's brought with him to Pirth, they do hear somebody behind them saying, looks like we were right. The little pigeon's come back to his roost. Anselm and Hormaz do quickly turn around, and they see some thugs who look very similar to the thugs they had before, standing in the doorway. How many are there? I'm going to say there's no more than 3, so I'm going to roll 6-sided dice. 1 and 2 is 1, 3 and 4 is 2, 5 and 6 is 3. Low numbers, hope. Of course, there's 3 of them. Of course, there are 3 of them. So, yeah, and they are standing there. They do have the daggers and the clubs again, and yeah, they say, one of them says, "We told you we would teach mutants and freaks like you a lesson. And you, too, for putting you, standing in front of us. Yeah, we'll make you sorry you ever brought your freaky nature here to Pirth." Yeah, Anselm is going to try to talk them down. Again, it's going to be a 10. He says, look, we're leaving. He's getting his stuff because we're leaving. I'm going to take him off world. You won't have to deal with him again. Stand down. Yeah. Is he able to do this? That's going to be a 10. He does. He actually does. He says, look, I'm taking him. We are leaving. You don't have to worry about him anymore. Just let him go with me, all right? Look, just calm down, everybody. The leader kind of looks at it. He kind of taps his hand with his little club that he's got. All right. Yeah, get him out of here. Make sure neither one of you ever come back. And Hormaz quickly gathers the stuff up, holding his little bag. I'm guessing his little bag, holding it to his chest, and watching as these 3 thugs turn, and they do leave. Anselm tells Hormaz to wait for just a moment. Anselm listens, making sure that they are gone, that there's nobody out there waiting to ambush them, and he does quickly go out, looking around, making sure the coast is clear, and they do leave. Anselm quickly goes through the streets of Pirth, taking Hormaz with him, and they get back to the starport where the ISS Raven is docked. They have been there for a while. Now, that was all the adventure encounter. Let's see if they have any other encounters on the space station area while they are here on Pirth. And again, that's going to be 100, 101 in the Traveler book. So this might happen while they're going. Yeah, and Anselm is wanting to get to Endoria, which is a bit of a distance from where they are now. He could do a jump, but he can't do a jump far enough to get anywhere right now. So he could go back to Taclon, that's an A starport, or he could go to Hessia Prime, where he actually started, which is a C starport. I kind of feel like he would go to Taclon, because it is the A starport. Oh, no. I take that back. He's going to go to Hessia Prime, because there's a scout base there, and he can get fuel, he can get repairs, and he can maybe get even more information about any ships that maybe are heading to or have been noticed heading towards Endorian space, or more information. Since he's a former scout, he has a lot more access to information from a scout base. So he is going to Hessia Prime, where the scout base is located. All right, so we've done our adventure encounter. Legal encounter. Are there any legal encounters? So again, we have to roll over the local law level to avoid a legal encounter. Let me find information about Pirth. Pirth has a legal code, or their law level is... Let's see. Pirth law level is a 6. All right. So 6 or more to avoid any kind of legal encounter. And that's going to be actually a 6. So it is the law level above. So yeah, they do not have any kind of legal encounter. I'm guessing, again, it's really not... yeah. Anyway, so they don't have a legal encounter. That's what I'm trying to say. All right. So that was the legal encounter. Do they have a random encounter? Let's roll that. So a 5 or better on 1 dice. Do we have a random encounter? We do not. An animal encounter? No. Patron. Now, Anselm would like to find a patron, because even though he's got some money, he could always use some more. And he's got open space, so he can try to take somebody with him. That's going to be a 5 or more on 1 dice. So does he find a patron? He does not. Nobody on Pirth is looking to hire him. And does he find a rumor? That is 7 or more. Any rumors? And that is yes. He does find out a rumor. He does find out a rumor. Let's roll on the rumors matrix on page 101. So purple is going to be the first number, and green will be the second number. So what do we got here? That's 65, so 6. And 5 is rumor N. Rumor N is location data. He finds a rumor about location data. Okay. All right, that's what the rumor is. Let's use the mythic random event meaning tables to see if we can figure out exactly what kind of information he finds about the location. So here we go with our random rolls there. That's going to be 76. That is mistrust. Okay. And it is a 17. Mistrust the spiritual. Okay, so he is trying to find out more information about Endoria, which makes sense. And he does hear a rumor. He does hear a rumor that, oh, yes, I know what this rumor is. Because of the constant expansionist nature of the Endorians, and because they are potentially encroaching into Imperial space. This is the rumor that he hears. The Imperials are, they are strengthening their checks and their border crossings between Imperial and Endorian space, because there is a spot where the two of them meet. They are next to each other. Again, I'll try to put the map up about that. All right, so yeah, so there is mistrust between the two of them, and because of that, and because of the feeling that Endoria is expanding, and there is a fear, or at least a certain kind of mistrust, that they are going to try to expand their borders closer, or maybe more borders next to the Imperial space. Yes, there is a higher security presence around that area. Why did I say that? Because it's going to make for more conflict. That's what stories are about, everybody. Conflict. Anyway, yeah, so that's when he finds out the location data. So there is there's a planet Forces. I don't know. I found it. I have to figure out how to pronounce it. But anyway, it is a planet. The system is right next to actual Endoria, the planet of Endoria that this whole religion is based on, and is expanding from there. So yeah, that is the easiest place for him to get to the Endorian space, and that will be the hardest place for him to get across. So will he go there? Will he go somewhere else? We'll find out. So that's what he finds out. That's his rumor. And after all that, he does have some time. He hangs out, and it is time for Anselm and his new companion Hormaz to take off, heading to Hessia Prime. All right, so they do fuel up. Let's go through our process. He does have to buy some. Oh, you know what? Let me take a step back. He does want to see if he can find somebody who wants to go to Hessia Prime. And he might do, if he can, he might do a little speculating of cargo. Because his hold is too small to buy bulk. But he might do some speculative. So, and I haven't done that yet. And I'd like to do, like I said before, I'd like to do as many of these little system sub-games as I can. So that's what we're going to do. First of all, can he find any passengers? He is going to see if there's anybody that wants to catch a ride going to Hessia Prime. So Hessia Prime, or I should say Pirth, is a, let me make notes of this. Pirth is a population of, where are you, Pirth, there you are. So population of 8, and there is a tech level difference, so a tech level of 3. So I sort of feel like because it is a pirate planet, there's not a lot of stuff that they make there. So everything they get that is high tech, they definitely have to import. All right, and Hessia Prime, the population there is, where are you, Hessia Prime? Let me find you there. There you are. All right, population for that is 4, and the tech is 7. So tech level 7. Okay, so we do have a modifier because Hessia Prime is the destination world. 4 or less is a -3, so we do have a -3 to that. And it's not a red zone. Destination is not an amber zone, but the tech level, add or subtract the difference between origin and destination. Origin is 5. Tech on the other was 7, so 4 minus 7, so another -3. So we got a -6 right now for passengers heading to Hessia Prime. So let's roll for high passengers. We do roll 3d6. So what do we get? That is going to be 13. Oh, a lot of folks want to get the heck out of Pirth. And we subtract 1, so that's 3. So 10 minus another 6. So there are 4 high passengers, right? 4 high passengers. And how about middle passengers? Again, 3d minus 1d. So there are 10 also middle passengers. Minus 3, 7. Minus another 6. So there's only 1 middle passenger. And there is no low berths, so he can't take any low passengers. Okay. He does have 4 staterooms. He and Hormaz can double up. He is willing to do that with Hormaz. Hormaz is just happy to get off Pirth. So he can take 3 of those high passengers, which he will. So he has 3 high passengers. And maybe Hormaz can get a steward skill while he's helping out to take care of the high passengers. Okay. So that means he's going to get some money from there. That means he will have to pay, so let's see, 3, 4, 5 times 2,000. So he has to pay 10,000 for life support for the trip. So that will drop Anselm's credits down to 21,600. 21,000, I should say, 21,600. But you got to spend money to make money, you know. He does need to buy the fuel. I think it did that last time. So he's got the fuel. He's gassed up and ready to go. He's got the folks on there. He has all of his life support taken care of. Now let's go to the trade and commerce section and see if we can find some trade goods that maybe he can make a little extra money on. And that is going to be Trade and Commerce, pages 104 and 105 in the Traveler book. I point here because that's where it's located. Let's see, what do we have? So first, we need to cargo space, free capital, throw 2 dice, none of the results consecutively, to create a number between 11 and 66. +1 on the first digit of population is 9 or better, which it's not. And -1 of the population is 5 or less, it's not. Modified, throw less than 1 is a 1. Okay. All right, so first we need to see what is available. So we're going to roll again, and red is going to be the first die. What do we get here? 32 or 3-2. 3-2, there is grain. There is some grain available here on Pirth that he could take to Hessia Prime and do a little bit of speculatory goods on here. All right, quantity. Throw the number of dice and multiply as shown. 3D times 5 indicates... Okay, so base price. Quantity. So looking on here, grain. 8D times 5. Lots of grain. Lots of grain. All right. So let's go ahead and roll all these. This is 5 of them. And that's going to be, let's see. All right, so we have 6, 12, and 4 is 16, and 5 is 21, and that's times 5. So 21 times 5 is 105. I think that's right. So there's 105 tons of grain. 105 tons of grain that he can buy at Pirth. Let's see. Price of goods is determined from the actual value table. A 2-dice throw determines the percentage of the base price to be paid. Oh, and I should make mention, up to the quantity. Partial purchase requires a handling fee of 1%. So he doesn't have to buy all of this. He doesn't buy 105 tons of grain. He can buy part of that and take it for speculative trade. So he can take part of that, but there is a 1% handling fee if he does that. Let's see. So the price is determined by a 2-die roll to see what is the normal price. Now the base price is 300 credits, and we have some modifiers of the purchase. So if it's an agricultural planet, we have a -2, non-agricultural +1, and industrial +2. Looking at Pirth, it is... You'd think I'd find it on my table quickly after looking at it so many times, but I still have to hunt for it. There we go. So, Pirth is... It's a garden world, which is a trade code from like Cepheus and Mongoose, not in the Classic Traveler. But it's not agricultural. Neither is it not agricultural. Neither is it industrial. Okay, so I'm going to say there are no die modifiers. It's just going to be a straight... Oh, wait, I did that wrong. I rolled 5 dice. There should be 3 more dice to add up how many tons of grain there are. So let's go ahead and do that too. So take a step back. That was... What did I say? 100, so it was 21. Pardon me, 21. Adding 3 more dice. All right, and another 22, 26, 30. 30 times 5 would be 600, right? 30 times 5. No. Where did I get 600? 150? Think 150. Again, basic math. Liberal arts major, everybody. Anyway, so I believe that's correct. So that's what we have there. 150 tons of grain. And yeah, so we're just going to roll again the dice and see how much does he have to pay to get some of it. All right, so that's a 7. And 7 is 100%, so he's going to have to pay 300 credits. And I think that's per ton, right? Let's see. Price of goods determined from the actual value table. A 2-dice throw determines the percentage of the base price to be paid. This value multiplied by the quantity of goods in the lot gives the net cost of the items. Actual value table is subject to the DM's. Okay, blah, 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 blah. All right, so that's before. So he can buy some. He has 3 tons of space, I think, in the Raven. Let's check that out. On page 64, he has 3 tons of cargo. So he could buy 3 tons of grain. He could spend 900 credits, buy 3 tons of grain, and potentially sell that at Hessia Prime. You know what? He's going to do it. Just because, hey, why not? A little extra money. It's not a lot, but every little bit helps, and I'm trying to figure out how to do this. So this is more for me than it is Anselm. So he does buy. He spends, what did I say, 900, right? Because it's 300 each. He can carry 3, so 900. So that's going to drop him down to 20,700, I think. 20,700 credits. And he now has 3 tons of grain on the ISS Raven. What a lovely time for Tribble to show up, if you get that reference. Anyway, yeah, so that is what that's what he's going to do. So he loads up 3 tons of grain. That image I find very funny for some reason. But he does get the high passengers on there. They load in. They get everything ready. They check all of their systems. Hormaz is sitting in the cabin, almost like a little kid. He's kind of bouncing in his chair. He's like, "This is exciting. I've never sat up front when we went space flying. I was always like back in the the hold or the the low berths or things like that. I've never actually watched go through hyperspace. This is gonna be fun, getting like a little kid." And they do. So they do leave the Pirth star system, heading to Hessia Prime. We are going to see, does anything happen? Do they have any kind of encounters? Let's go to that table. And they are heading out of the system. Let's see, there is no naval base here, obviously. There is a pirate base. Again, I don't think there's a lot of piracy that takes place in Pirth just because, don't want to bring the Navy down on them too hard in this safe haven they have. So let's see, I'm going to roll the 2 dice. Do they have an encounter? And it's a C starport here on Pirth, so let's see. That's going to be a 7, and a 7 for a C starport is an R. And R is a 400-ton subsidized merchant. So there is a merchant coming in. And of course, a merchant coming in would almost, you can see the space pirates just salivating for this, merchant, like, but they don't go for it because they know the rules. They don't want the pirate lords to come after them. That would be bad for them, so they are going to keep going. But does this merchant, what is the attitude of this merchant to Anselm? As I've said before, based on past experience, maybe not so good. So let's roll the 2 dice. We have a 9, and that is intrigued. They are intrigued, so they do, I'm going to say they hail him. They say, scout ship heading out of the system. This is the, and I'm pausing because I'm looking for a ship name, which I can find in the D66 compendium. Ship names number 1. Alright, again, red is going to be my first dice, so we rolled a 16. It is, so they do say, ISS Raven, this is the merchant ship Arkham. What can you tell us? Anything going on in Pirth we should know about? And Anselm comes over the communications and says, just be careful. It does definitely live up to its reputation as being a bit lawless. So keep your wits about you if you do spend any time there. And they come back on. Will do, and thank you, Scout. This is the Arkham out, and they do continue on. All right, and the ISS Raven continues on the time to the jump point. Anselm once again does put in the coordinates for Hessia Prime. He turns on the jump drive, and they find themselves zinging through jump space with Hormaz sitting next to him, kind of again all giddy with a big smile on his face, big wide eyes. The innocence and naivete of youth, Anselm thinks. And so they are on their way to Hessia Prime. And that is where we leave the adventures of Anselm. Alright, so I'm kind of glad Anselm knows where to go now. Getting there is not going to be easy, but at least he has a little bit of direction, so he is heading that way. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope this was enjoyable. Yeah, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, share it with people. I have a lot of people joining. Had a big bump lately, so thank you all. If you're new subscribers watching this, feel free to go back and watch more of the adventures of Anselm to see how we got here, and hopefully you'll stay around and we'll see many, many more adventures in the very near future. All right, I think that's all I have to say. So thank you all very much, and I will see you next time.